Who would have thought? This is fantastic. I want to let you know that you guys are hearing it first before the president even has heard it. So it's all breaking news. We decided today that since Turning Stone continues to have the 120-mile radius limitation on attendees, that we're going to go just virtual for our conference this year. Um, because with that 120 miles, I'm like 5 miles outside of the radius myself. If I used my old address, I could have made it in, but with my new address, I can't. And they tell us that they check licenses, so I can't even fudge it to get in. So we are going to be virtual, but we'll be on the Verbella platform, and there will be lots more coming about that. So if you've been hesitant about uh, signing up, registering for the conference, go ahead and go for it. You can register for the entire conference just a day at a time or even just a session at a time. And our sessions, we've got a pre-conference panel discussion on cannabis and associated products that will have both Tanya Drake, one of our board members, but also some members from the Cannabis Nurse Association. So that's going to be very informative, at least for me. I'm just a little country kid. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. Our keynote is Create a Point of Impact, which is by Matt Episcopo. Those of you who were at the conference last year saw a little commercial blast that went um, by Matt, and he's also had some posts on our Facebook page and is a world renowned speaker. He's done TED Talks and that sort of thing, so he is going to be great to listen to. We have two of the poster submissions that have been elevated to podium topics. They're long because they're research, so let me read it to you. Changing stigmatic perceptions related to mental illness and substance abuse among public library staff, a nursing library community initiative, and examination of global health disparities through a collaborative online international learning partnership, a pilot project. So those are two programs that we'll have. See You in Court is our NSO friends who usually do our breakfast talk on Saturdays. And so it'll give us the top reasons nurses get sued. And then Matt Episcopo, our keynote speaker, is also going to be coming back and doing a second program for us to wrap up the conference, The Science Behind Human Connection. So the conference committee has worked really hard to get a nice program put together. We will have virtual poster presentations. We will have a virtual exhibitor hall. We're uh, excited and nervous and hoping that you will join us as we launch into this innovative format that is being thrust upon us these days. Um, you'll want to be keeping an eye on our YouTube page because we do have digital content that's going to be loaded there, including this uh, meeting afterward. And follow us on our social media platforms, not TikTok, obviously, but the other ones. And keep an eye on your email because we're going to be starting in August to have monthly office updates. So, monthly, we'll send out a little blast telling you what in the world the three of us have been up to here, nestled away in the capital region. So, that's what I've got going on here. Are there any, I want to open it up now if anybody has any questions or comments, anything that you'd like to share, because this is not the talking head. This is our chance to interact with each other. And Shakira is going to be watching for anyone with their hand up or anything exciting going on in the chat box. Oh, Trudy's got her hand up.
Mm-hmm. Hi there. Thanks for doing this, Janine. This is great. Where we can feel connected, to the mothership, as it will be. But I just wanted to put a plug in because over and above the updates that we're going to be receiving from your office, there's also going to be connected to Nursing Network. We have elections coming up. And the Nominations and Elections Committee, was hard at work. We developed a good slate. That information will be coming out. And I just want to encourage all of you to vote. That's one of the things that we can do as a member of this organization to, utilize our voices at the ballot box. So just, be on the lookout for that and cast your vote. And I'll see you at conference. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We had like a 1.3% response rate last year for the election. So
yeah, it was pitiful.
It was not great. So let's hope that we can get a little bit more juice going here.
Mm-hmm.
I see your lips moving, Shakira, but we can't hear you.
Maybe it's
sometimes she just sits there and talks to herself. We know how that goes too.
I was saying that I could hear someone typing. So we're gonna wait for their question to come in because I could hear someone typing away. Okay. Ladies, like Janine said, this is the time for you to express any concerns or any kind of questions, or like we said even before, this is just an open space for that that we're trying to give you ladies to, even if it's just to unload something that's been going on. We're here for comfort and knowledge.
We accept good news too. And I see that Madam President has her hand up.
Mm-hmm. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see everyone or perhaps hear your voices. So welcome. I have two questions. One question was from a member, and they were wondering if they registered to attend in person, but that is no longer available, can they alter their registration without being penalized?
There would be no penalty, and actually what we're going to do, I mean, we just made the decision today. So we need to, we've got a little time, but what we're going to do is we're going to reimburse people for the difference in the price that it was for the face-to-face. We will reimburse them for the difference for the virtual full conference. And if they do want all of it back for whatever reason, we'll work with them. But we will. I have to order checks because I'm going to run out of checks to send to people. So I will be getting that processed in the next month. But yeah, we will send people back the difference between the full face-to-face registration and the virtual registration.
Okay. Now, my second question goes to the election, so I'm glad that Trudy is here. In the event that, since it is virtual, are we going to have a Zoom meeting, or how are people going to be sworn in? How would that be conducted?
Okay, thank you for that. That's not something that we discussed in our meeting. However, since we are going to be virtually meeting, all of us, I would not see any difference whatsoever. The election will be duly vetted by the third party who has done that in previous years, and then it comes back to us. We announce, as I did last year, we announce, who won, what the vote tallies were for everybody, and then you then announce, you would announce virtually to all of the attendees the election.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that the swearing in, because all it is we're changing a format of meeting, changing the meeting. We're not doing any swearing. We're not announcing any election outside of our bylaws
Tim Hagan
because we're
is
at
now
the
exiting.
So I would think that swearing in would just happen just like it virtual, it would, because you could have those people, on the screen, depending on the gallery shot that you have. So I would not see where there would be any issue at all with swearing in the winners of the election.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's
all
what
of
I
the
thought,
all of
but
the
I didn't know.
business will be conducted just the same
Right.
way it is face to face. It'll just be done virtually. And we'll still have the raffle and we'll still have the exhibitors and everything will be the same flow, the same agenda that we usually have. It will just be not all zusammen all together.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
So now we have Marcella. I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, perfect. And this may not be the right place for this, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. I teach in an accelerated nursing program in Westchester, and our nursing students have not been able to have clinical experiences this semester and likely won't have them again in the fall. Just wondering if anybody has any thoughts on how we can support them if the only real patient experience they're having is simulated.
I've been meeting with the regents, state ed regents, the chancellor from SUNY, the I don't know what Sarah's title is, but she's Suzanne Sullivan's boss at State Ed, CICU Clinical Practice Group, the Council of Associate Degree Deans, and the Council of Baccalaureate and Higher Deans, and the Simulation Educators of Northeast New York. And we have revised our simulation white paper that I will be submitting to the regents on Friday to discuss. We had submitted it in January, so that we've updated it now after having worked through the spring semester with COVID. And we're also talking with Suzanne Sullivan and all of those folks that I mentioned about how we can support the student experience for actual clinical, in addition to increasing the allowance for simulation. I've also been on a meeting with CICU and Haney's talking about the hospital's perspective and how can we find some middle ground between what the educators need and what the hospitals feel comfortable providing, because we've got two different worlds going on. Down your way, the students aren't allowed in because of the PPE limitation of availability, and the staff are so completely swamped with the tremendous care demands that they don't want to, quote, deal with students, if you will. Up here, we've had a lot of hospitals that have been furloughing nurses. The hospitals are empty because no one's willing to come to the hospital because they're afraid they're going to get cooties. So, it's a problem. It's a different problem, but it's the same problem. And so we are talking with Haney's as well to try to come up with some things. I've got no answers for you right this second, Marcella, but I am directly involved in these conversations with a lot of the stakeholders, trying to come up with a variety of approaches. I know residencies have been spoken about, and I am very much in support of those, but I've also reminded them that that's a very finite number of slots, not anywhere near the herd of nursing students that we typically hit the hospitals with in a clinical group. Um, so, there's limitations to the residency experience, and that's after the fact. We need to get them ready for the graduation and ready for the NCLEX. The residency is kind of the frosting on the cupcake, but right now we don't even have a cupcake. Um, we've also talked about if the governor decides that schools, colleges can't open, what do we do with the nursing students? Because we need to have, even if we can get them into the hospital, if we can't get them into the res halls and get them food and other services on the campus, that's a factor. So we've talked about that piece as well. And some folks have been really interested in working with the hospitals to make the designated educational unit, which again is a very nice option for some. But I also mentioned that that's not the silver bullet, because for those of us, like Vicki and I that are up in the Rochester area, and I only see her face there. I don't know who else from Rochester is on the call, but you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a nursing program in Rochester. And so what's happened is some of the bigger schools have gone with a DEU, which has completely locked out everybody else from doing clinical on that unit. And, having come from a couple of the smaller schools, Keuka and Nazareth, we were willing to do clinical in the middle of the night and on the weekends, and we'd go, we'd take any crumbs that were left over, and then they made a DEU, and then we couldn't get on even on the off shifts and on the weekends. So, again, there's not, everybody's got a problem. The problem's a little different, and the solution's going to be a little different, but we are in discussion.
Thank you.
Okay. Next question is going to be from the president.
Hi. Again, working with Janine and working with the New York Nursing Alliance with Kim Glassman, and we've been addressing this issue before COVID even began, because there was a paucity of clinical sites, and it was especially hard hit with the associate degree programs, because many of the hospitals and institutions, especially the monopoly institutions, were really refusing to allow anyone except a baccalaureate program into a clinical unit. So in light of that, we had already been anticipating that we were going to have more of a challenge rather than less of a challenge, and trying to come up with not only simulation, but also with a mentoring of our senior students with our freshman students, because you can only fit so many bodies in a lab with social distancing as well. So trying to have a win-win situation. I mean, this is a time where we have to be very, very innovative. We have to be very, very creative. We've been doing video where the students have been videotaping their clinical skills and doing simulations. And simulations are great to a point. You cannot simulate a mentally ill patient or a 3-year-old pediatric patient. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work, since I've been teaching those courses forever. So, Marcella, we are looking at different approaches, and Janine has done a phenomenal job of reaching out to all the big cheeses and all the nooks and crannies and trying to see what we can do. But I have to reassure you that ANA New York has been dealing with this issue for the past 2 years minimally, that we've recognized that it has been an issue.
Thank you. Next question is going to be from Trudy.
Yeah, this is a different topic, but in the mail today, I had gotten an ad from ANA encouraging me to join them. And it had a membership card printed that showed I already, have ANA and ANA New York. Now, what should I do with this? I mean, because I thought if we're, my understanding, if we're affiliate members, we're also members of ANA. It's not that I don't want to, be in or pay them money, but if I don't have to, I could certainly put it to pay back my school loans. So that's my That's true.
Recycle it. Recycle it.
Okay.
If you are a member, we do not have ANA New York only members. Anyone who is a member of ANA New York is automatically a dual member. They're automatically a member of ANA.
Okay, all right.
It
And
was
that was
just
my
part of,
understanding.
yeah, just part of
That's
a
what
big
I-
old mass mailing. But
Okay.
nope,
Okay, thanks so much.
you
Okay.
betcha.
Next one's going to be from Tanya. Tanya,
Hi there.
there you go.
This is for Marcella. Marcella, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but ANA has a lot of communities on various topics. And one of the communities that they have is a faculty, nursing faculty community, which is open to you as an ANA member since you're a New York member. And they have had a very robust discussion and a lot of excellent suggestions for not just from the faculty perspective, but also many members are also hospital administrators. So they've been putting forth all of these different aspects of what to do going forward. But remember that this is nationwide. So some of it may not apply directly to New York, but I found that the discussion has come up with some very good ideas. And one of the things that has come from hospitals outside of New York State, so we don't know what's going to happen in terms of New York, is that they have determined that going forward, not just during COVID, but going forward, they are changing their policies to limit clinicals for all educational programs to a maximum of 5 students. Which, I can remember when we had clinicals of 15 students, then we had to knock them down to 12 and then down to 10. And, but I think that you may also get some good ideas there. And people post almost every day. So I'd encourage you to go on the ANA community website and log on to that.
Maggie,
Thank you very much.
We also need to keep in
Is
mind
now
the poor
joined.
LPN students too, because even though we don't represent LPNs in ANA New York or ANA, they're not eligible to be members. They're certainly in the same boat, if not a worse boat, than, just like Lee was saying, the baccalaureate nurses get priority over the associate degree nurses, and both the baccalaureate and associate degree nurses get priority over the LPNs. So we need to think about our fellow nurses who don't have the voice that the RNs have.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Our next question comes from Vicky. Oh, hold on, Vicky. You're muted still. You should be unmuted. Sorry, little technical difficulties here. Vicky, can you unmute yourself from your side? It's not letting me unmute you. No.
Okay.
There you go.
Must be I have the power today.
No, it's just so many people coming in and out that
Yeah.
it's a delay. But you
Yeah.
have the floor.
Thanks. I just wanted to go back to Marcella's question. I'm not sure, and some of you may be aware of the efforts of the National Council of State Board of Nursing and their recent release of their academic and clinical partnership proposal. And I can put the link in the box too if anybody's interested. They've reached out and said schools of nursing should be working with healthcare facilities to have this partnership where students can actually get paid. So they're hired in like a job role and then are awarded academic credit. And so, of course, it does have to go through the state board and or the New York State Office of Professions to approve that. But some of the states are using the model to get some of the clinical hours in. kind of a backdoor way of doing it, but it is working. So I'll share that link. There's a little video there. Just again, as we've heard today, lots of opportunities to be creative and looking at different ways to incorporate. And Janine, thank you for your efforts and working with all the different stakeholders. And more importantly, thank you for mentioning LPNs, because I do think that they are often left out of the whole mix and don't have a lot of representation. So I appreciate that as well.
We do need to be careful with that suggestion of the students working in the hospitals and getting credit, because the hospitals are not able to assign academic credit. That has to be assigned by the college or university. And so just have to be real careful of who's minding the store, both from the state regulatory side, but also when you're looking at your national nursing accreditors, ASIN and CCNE, they will be looking to see who's assigning the grade and who's awarding the credit for these experiences. And so having a student as an employee in the facility is a good experience for them to a degree, but are they going to be working more as nurses aides and not able to do the higher level nursing functions? And where's the faculty in the midst of all that? So absolutely a good strategy to look at, but we always have to loop back and make sure that we're not biting off our nose to spite our face.
And then we have another question from Vicky.
Am I unmuted? Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to Janine's point. I think you made excellent points. Absolutely right. State board approval, number one, is critical. The school is the one that would award the credit. It appears that there's been some discussion with the accrediting companies, ACEN and CCNE, and they are open to dialogue about this model. Lots of work to be done on it. I thought it was an interesting concept, and faculty are the one, in the particular model that they showed where they've used this, faculty are the ones out there doing the evaluations of the students. They're kind of in the setting along with them. I put the link if anybody wants to check it out in the chat box. Again, just reiterating how important it is. It's going to require us to be creative. We're letting people on furlough and we're shortage of nursing, and yet we have all these interested candidates in becoming nurses. We don't want to miss our opportunities.
And we also have to think about the advanced practice nurses, because their clinical opportunities are being curtailed as well. And my understanding is that the advanced practice national accrediting organizations have less of a sense of humor than even New York State Ed, which is kind of hard to imagine, but there you go.
Okay, so I don't see any hands raised. Once again, this is an invitation for anyone that has any concern, comment, anything. This is a virtual room full of your peers to hear for guidance, support, and as well as comfort. Obviously, we've had a good amount of people turn out today for our first one. So hopefully, if you guys see that it's something that you like or feel comfortable and it's beneficial to you to take time from your busy day to do this, we'll most definitely have another one. I see the president here. All right. Lee, if you unmute yourself.
Jokes.
There you
Okay.
go. Okay.
So this is a great dialogue, and I really appreciate everyone's very, very deliberate thoughts and suggestions. I think they're great. Vicky and Tanya, those are great, great suggestions. I did have another comment from a member, concern from a member regarding the virtual annual meeting. And as I explained to them, I was raving about Virbela and how cool it was and how much fun it was. So I was wondering if we could possibly have a designated couple of days that we could encourage members to use or to go through Virbela prior to the actual annual meeting so they could gain comfort, especially for those that are less technologically savvy and might be afraid of using the technology or may not feel comfortable or even how to log in and do that stuff. So I just raised that question.
Part of our contract is to have a play day ahead of time for people to get a little bit used to navigating around, and they can, if they decide, they can customize their avatar and do some things like that. So, yeah, that is part of the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Now, got to remember, we'll be stumbling around too. So,
Yeah. And just to add to that, if you go on our Facebook page, we the post for today, actually at 5 o'clock, we tagged Verbellum on our post, so you can actually take a walkthrough, because on their YouTube page, they have a very, very good, walkthrough showing you how to set everything up. So even if it's not necessarily the hands-on right now, at least you're getting familiar with what's going to be presented to you for the platform. Okay.
Yes,
thank you for that, Lee. And then our next question is going to be from Tanya. Tanya, if you could just unmute yourself.
Thank you. I think you answered part of my question. I think Lee's idea of and Janine's idea of a soft run through before the convention is an excellent one. But I would like to suggest, and Shakira, you might be able to answer this, that we have one soon, as opposed to waiting until we're closer to the time for the convention, because I'm sure, I'm sitting here, I can't get my camera to work for this meeting, and I'm thinking about the meeting that's coming up at 6:30 saying, oh crap. But, I'm sure that there are people like me that are now sitting at home once they hear this news wondering, geez,
yeah,
do you really want to spend any money to do this? And I think if they were given the opportunity to go to a link and do like a run through of something, then it might pique their interest and they might decide to register.
So just to answer that, currently, if you actually go to Verbella.com, their website, you can go through their demo. That's because one, we have to make sure how many people are registered, the email accounts and all of that stuff that's going to be, given out. So if you want to just do a basic run through for you to see how and what's going to be expected of you and how to just start getting familiar with the avatars and maneuvering how to get to here and there, I would suggest for you to download Current Now, obviously before the conference, download the actual platform. And like I said, you can use the demo. You can do a quick, run through every day. Just go in, and the demo is a live demo. So you'll see what is going on. You'll see that there's over, on a normal day, there's about 500 people on their platform. It's something that's being used now everywhere. So, I understand that some people are going to be a little hesitant because they're going to be like, oh, I don't know about this. But during our email blast to our members on the now transition to virtual, there's going to be the demos where you can go in and play and get comfortable. Even it's like the Sims world. So, get in and start walking around and talk to random people. So I hope that answers your question and the concerns, because I do understand that's a concern.
It helps.
Okay. Our next question is going to be from Kim. Kim, if you could just unmute yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So sorry about that. I'm just finishing training and jumped in and I'm like, where's the link? Okay, so I appreciate you sending it to me. So in line with that same question, I am in a kind of particular situation where I have a number of abstracts that were accepted to the ANA convention. I will be there, obviously, in person, but a number of my colleagues may or may not be there. I'm working with them to try to decide, listen, what do you want to do? How are you going to do it? Are you going to come? A lot of them may not. They said, well, they're going to kind of wait until it gets a little closer to kind of decide whether they're going to come in person, which I completely understand. And their question is, if they decide to be remote and I am there live, you know, how does that work? So I do appreciate the fact that if you can provide that link in the chat feature, I will copy it and give it to them, and we can practice on our own or figure things out or whatever. But that may be a question for other presenters who may not know that. So, you know, again, it may be an opportunity that the next time we have a town hall, you may want to reach out to those individuals and say, do you want to join the town hall? Do you have any questions about how you're going to present? And that may ease some apprehension.
So just to fill
Well,
you
Kim,
in,
we announced at the beginning of this call, Kim, that the meeting
Yes,
is
I'm
going
sorry,
to
I
be
missed it.
virtual.
Yes.
No, that's okay. But the meeting is going to be virtual. We just decided today. And what we're going to be doing for all of the posters and also all of the exhibitors is there will be specific poster and exhibitor time where your poster will be up on the screen in the exhibit hall, and people, the attendees, can walk into your area where your poster is being displayed, and you'll be standing there with your colleagues, and you can have a discussion back and forth with the attendees. It's going to be just like if it were a real live face-to-face
Excellent.
kind of an
Okay.
interaction. And it's
Excellent.
going to be the same way with the exhibitors as well, so that the exhibitors will be on their computers at the same time that our attendees will be in the exhibit hall and walking around, so that you can ask questions, you can get information, and you can see their displays.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry I'm behind the times, but I appreciate that.
It's okay. And
No worries.
For the link, I put it in the chat. And just for everyone that's on the Tea with ED currently, this is being recorded because we're going to put it up on our YouTube, and then also we're going to have like a recap essentially, so an email that's going to be sent out with the top what was spoken about, and for example, like Vicky's useful link, so people that, you know, maybe RSVP'd to this event that couldn't actually get on still are in the loop for the next time. Okay, all right, let's see. We're coming down to the last 15 minutes, so this is your chance. If you have any questions, any concerns, once again, it does not have to be on any, you know, dire situation. If you just want to talk for a second. Okay, here we go. Lee, if you want to just unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd like to give a huge round of applause, not only to Janine, but to Shakira and to Jamelyn for being so diligent on addressing all of the issues that we've had with the COVID-19 and doing it in such a timely manner that everyone, I think, has really felt the love and the support and the dedication of the staff. And I think that's a large part of why we are seeing our membership numbers grow exponentially, because they really feel a true connection to their professional organization. So kudos out to the dynamic Dream Team. And I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. They've done a phenomenal job. And I don't think they've slept more than maybe 12 hours in the past 4 months to get everything that's been done. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that, and thank you very, very much. The second piece of this is that I hope that through this venue and through this virtual meeting space, that we will be able to capture more of our younger or early career people that are very, very comfortable with this technology, that this may be something that may be more palatable to them, as opposed to sitting in a room with seasoned nurses and they don't feel perhaps a connection with them. But we might be bringing in a different population and a different group of members. So I'm very hopeful that that can happen. But also, I just want to really express my appreciation for everybody who turned in today, but also to let you know that ANA New York is here for you. But again, we need to hear from you. We need to hear, what are the issues? What are your concerns? What are your challenges that you are having? Maybe not directly related to COVID, but maybe related to clinical or other issues, so that we can address them. First, we need to be aware of them. And that's where it becomes so important for our members to voice their issues and their concerns. So again, I applaud everyone for being here today, but please feel free to reach out. I have now deputized you all so that you are to reach out to those people who perhaps are not ANA New York members, but you work with them either directly or indirectly, or you have conversations with them, and please let them know that we need to hear from them. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm just a little distracted because it's raining cats and dogs over here.
That's okay. I'll give you a ride home, honey. Don't worry about it.
I'm over here like, oh man.
Yeah, it was pouring in Guilderland about 5 minutes ago, so it's coming your way.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, though, the floor is open for anyone that wants to have any, input, any.
Barbara Zattel
Right,
is now exiting.
Oh, that was another question. I know we've spoken about it with New York Nursing Alliance, but the regs, have they been firmed up in reference to how the BSN 10 is going to be, quote unquote, implemented? Or are we still kind of loosey-goosey with that?
The emergency regs were approved, and we are now in the 60-day public vetting period. So I have sent out the regs to our LEDGE committee and our nursing education committee for a collection of any comments that we might have. We will be writing a letter, of course, in support, but we might have some friendly amendments that we may want to include. So Amy Kellogg, our esteemed lobbyist who has slept even less than the three of us have, is actually on this call, and Amy is collecting the comments from our committee members so that we could make a cogent statement on behalf of ANA New York. And Amy, if you wanted to say anything, hop right in, hon.
I don't know if I know she was having difficulties with her system, so yeah.
Well, and we're in the middle of a thunderstorm here, so everything's a little dodgy.
Hold on. She says, I'm here. Okay. Hold on. All right, because I don't know what name. I think this is her. Is this her? Okay, there you go. Amy, you're good now. No. I'm like, I see a bubble that's, yeah. Okay, all right, well, she's having technical difficulties. We'll try next time.
These are strange and wonderful times. As the Year the Nurse slogan for ANA goes, innovate, excel, lead. Boy, we're doing all of them like it's a juggling act this year.
That is true.
But with grace and tenacity, ever persistent and leading the way. So I've never been prouder to be a nurse than to see how wonderful we're rising to the occasion. And it's nice to have the public affirmation and to have the public recognize the depth of nursing and how involved it is.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts? Final questions?
I think that it is truly our year, the year of the nurse. I mean, you know, it took a disaster like this for people to really take notice of what nursing has been contributing to the community. And I think finally our message has gotten through, and everyone that did not know what a nurse did, and we have tried for years to get the message, now they kind of understand. And you know, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I am just so happy that a lot of people are really taking notice and, you know, encouraging. And you see a lot of families engaged in nursing activities. And you know, I think it's great. I mean, it's sad what's going on, but I always try to think and look on the positive end. So kudos to you. And again, I am just so proud to be part of this organization, that the minute you look on the website, there's always something new and exciting showing. So kudos to the leadership there. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Tanya, I see your hand up. If you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, just, you know, to follow up on the year of the nurse comments, like Lee, you know, I've been a nurse for a long time, and I couldn't be any prouder of the profession that I fell into by accident because I was on the wrong line in registration, but that's a story for another day. But that aside, I thought I saw something float across the my ANA news feed, where ANA is extending the year of the nurse into 2021, I believe through the first half at least of 2021, because basically they're saying it's not fair that the year of the nurse got sucked up by this COVID virus. And even though it was great for us in many ways, a lot of the accolades and the celebrations and everything have had to be put aside. So, you know, kudos to ANA for thinking about us.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us, for taking the time. And you'll have to let us know if this was a helpful way for you to spend an hour on, at least in the Capital Region, a rainy, hot, nasty, gooey summer afternoon. And, you know, if this is something helpful, we can have these periodically. So give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. And thank you again so much for taking the time to join us. And thank you for being a member of ANA New York. We really appreciate it.
Woo-hoo. Applause, applause, applause.
Thank you. Woo. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Bye,
with
everybody.
that, yeah, so with that, we're going to conclude. And thank you,
Kathy
everyone.
Crandall is now exiting.
Okay. Shakira, can you hang on for just a couple minutes?
Is now exiting.
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple, that's all. Just 2 questions.
Yeah, no problem. Just
Okay.
Multiple people are now exiting.
multiple babies. I guess I'm still recording.
Oh yeah, don't record me.